good images make you more money. They just do.
I'm going to have to quote that.
They do. There's an insane ROI. I work with a lot of women who will do a new photo shoot in front of every single launch. And if they're putting out stale content that people have already seen, they don't make the sales that they want to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Lens for podcast. This channel is all about business related and photography related, but I also include certain brackets in there where I want to kind of zero in on certain things. So today, this podcast is all about branding. First of all, what is branding? Second of all, the importance of branding. And third, the definition of what branding truly is. So today's guest is Mariah Gale Creative, and you are located in Sturbridge, Massachusetts. What is the name of this building here?
This is the Lincoln House.
This is the Lincoln House, okay. So you and I met quite a few years ago. You photographed my family and my boys at that time. We went to the beach and stuff like that. So how did you get into the photography realm of it? And what are you doing now for photography-wise?
So I've been a photographer for 19 years now, so I've done it all. I started out in modeling agencies and doing destination weddings, and then moved into family portraiture, worked in Rhode Island for a while, came back up here, and now I mostly focus on branding and families. I have clients that I just did a senior photo shoot for my first newborn client. So I have clients that are coming back after. Yeah,
that's always a good feeling.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It makes me feel older, but
so old. Yeah. But that full circle moment is just so cool.
It's rewarding, I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like it is rewarding. So families you do.
Yep.
You will do some high school seniors if it's related to you or a client coming back.
Yep.
And branding.
Yes.
So you try to stay away from weddings.
In general, but also, if I have a newborn client that's getting married,
great point.
Of course I will do that.
There's the exception, which you and I were talking about in the beginning part of it.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So my biggest question to you is, I'm going to pigeonhole you at the end of this. So I'm going to give you, I want to give me in a paragraph, the definition of your opinion of what branding is.
In general, what branding is?
In general, yes, because I'm going to pigeonhole you after this. Okay. I want you to give me a broad statement of what branding is.
So branding is an identity. And I think, if you go way back to when humans were in these indigenous groups, everyone had a specific identity. You were the basket weaver, you were the person that was making arrowheads, you were the person that had this innate ability to find the fish. And when you were in these communities, you knew who you were, and that community accepted you for exactly that thing. So you had an identity. Humans have evolved to have brands, basically, that specific personal identities. And what we're doing now is we're helping people to identify their personal brand, what their identity is, how they fit into the world, what they have expertise in, what they can give to the world. And then we are translating those identities to businesses. So if you do a thought experiment and you think, like, if the whole world was just robots wouldn't look at a logo, colors, feeling, anything when they're looking at working with a business. They just work with data, right? They just look at the data.
Great point.
And because we're working with humans want to be able to connect to something and feel like they belong with something, especially a brand that they want to give their money to. And so that's what a brand is it's giving a business an identity so that humans can connect with it.
I had no idea how far back you were going to go. You went prehistoric.
You went back to caves.
You went back to caveman. And I feel like there's two words that jumped out on me was identity and connection.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now explain to me nowadays in 2025 what branding is in 5 words.
Friendship, belonging, safety, connection, identity.
I agree with all of those. I am not a branding expert. This is to the level of my understanding of what branding is: colors, fonts, and personality. That's the word I was going to go for.
Right.
Because I feel like when they come to you and they say, hey, Mariah, this is our business. Let's say it's, carpentry, whatever it is. And they want to make a brand around that. How would you approach now? Carpentry is kind of like a very general thing. If there's a business that comes to you that wants to do a branding session with you and they approach, but they have absolutely no idea what to do, which is normal, what's the approach from there?
Who is your ideal client? And how can you portray that you are your ideal client's best friend?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So they instantly know when they look at your logo, when they look at your visuals, your website, they belong with you, they trust you, they would have instant loyalty to you. They're going to work with you because they know you.
How important is colors in your brand and fonts in your brand?
Yeah, very important. So if I
feel like they're right at the top, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, often that's the first thing that people see. So if you, a font that everybody knows is Comic Sans, right? And so if you're a luxury brand, you're not going to use Comic Sans in bright neon green unless you're being ironic about it.
Good point, which most people are not.
Right, yes, exactly, yeah. And in 2025, we're seeing a lot of those things come back as kind of like a play on that.
Okay,
like
I can see why somebody would do that. Reflect to the 80s kind of thing like that.
Yeah, but it's incredibly important. Yeah. Anybody who's seen the Avatar skit on SNL where they're talking about the fact that it's papyrus?
I did not.
The papyrus font.
Really?
Yeah, they literally picked a system font for Avatar. Yeah, and designers are at best amused by it.
Yeah, amused. Let's go with amused.
Yeah.
So I feel like when it does come time to colors, how do you pick the colors? If somebody said, here's our brand, this is everything that we do, I'm not even going to put you in a business for. How would you approach just the colors part of the business?
Sure. Who is your ideal client? What are they wearing? What colors do they feel comfortable with? What colors do they feel are outside of their identity? What colors would they expect
Great
to
point.
see?
What's outside of your is just as important as what's inside.
Yeah. What colors do you not want?
Yeah.
Right.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
Yep. And how colors convey different personalities. And so you have red, you have brights, you have, all of these that convey this like kinetic kind of a personality. You have black that's just classic that you can play with a lot with fonts.
There's an elegance about that also.
Right.
But sometimes a color like that might seem elegant might not work with that brand because it's almost opposite of like a shoe designer, kind of thing like that. And if everything is black, then there's no kind of, yes, you can use colors to pop, but everything, when you're trying to do like in designing stuff like that, I feel like the base colors of what they are is white. And then anything else can be added to that to add it to fit your personality kind of thing. And I've noticed that a lot. And the next thing is I've noticed some people have a font, in my opinion, this is just in my opinion, is very difficult to read.
Yes.
If I have to look twice, because it's too scripted. Yes, it looks fancy like a high-end realty company or a high-end whatever.
Right.
But if it's so scripted that you can't read between the S and the W, or is that a U, or so fonts also come into play like that. So do you work with the company to come in and saying, okay, let's start with the colors that we know we want to alleviate from and stay away from, and these are the ones we want to gravitate to. Is the same approach for fonts also?
Yes, depending on the personality of the company, I know whether I want to go with a serif font, which is like a Times New Roman. It has the marks at the top and bottom of the letters, which actually come from when they used to carve things in stone. They would need those starting points.
Like Roman numerals philosophy.
Exactly, yeah. They would need those starting points to carve into, so it's that classic look. If it's a more modern company, if I need to convey a little bit more modern or a certain personality, we can go with the sans serif font, and those are the ones that don't have those starting marks. The
fact that you know these names of these fonts is crazy, because I just go through and I look to see which one I like. I wouldn't even know what the names are.
Well, you know what you feel when you look at a font.
Yes.
And that's really the important thing. But a designer is trained to know how to put a style guide together. And so what we would do is choose a heading font, which is usually a display font. Display fonts are usually made to be bigger, bolder, and readable. Yes. Text fonts are made to be smaller, and they're made to be readable when they are smaller. And so you don't want to use a display font in a text paragraph. That makes it unreadable. So you have to look at the readability too.
And what did you call a style chart?
Style guide.
Style guide.
Yep.
And I feel like this is where a photographer gets a camera and tries to take pictures for somebody's branding session for their business. And I feel like that right there is where they fall short. They don't have the experience, because I do not consider myself a branding photographer. Now, has somebody come to me for headshots and things like that? Headshots are different than a branding session.
Yes.
To have a headshot on somebody's website is a traditional thing, like a doctor, okay? But if you are a high-end liposuction kind of, doctor that does cosmetic surgery, there's a little bit more branding that comes along with that complements the headshot of what it is.
Yes.
And I feel like this is where the misconception comes in, that people they think a branding session is just a headshot. And I feel like that's wrong. Is that because you do this all the time? Right. I'm not a branding photographer, so I'm very limited on my knowledge and understanding. So this is why I'm interviewing you, is because somebody who does this all the time, I would have never even thought about a styling guide when it comes to that. And it's not just a headshot. It is because sometimes a headshot can be, on a beautiful white couch. You were just telling me it took you seven weeks to paint this, paint this place, because it took it off and on. But this place is beautiful. And I just saw one of your last posts in here where you have hair was done, makeup was done. You had a whole branding session inside of here, which we're going to talk about that next too. This is not just like, show up with whatever you want. Oh, no.
It is strategized.
Let's talk about that then, because I feel like this is where a person that wants to get into photography will be misled thinking they can do branding photography when that is like outside the element. It's like somebody picking up a camera last weekend and they think they want to do wedding photography. There is years of experience and things like that. So with the branding part of it, let's talk about not the logistics side of it, but the day of preparation of it. The hair that gets done, the makeup that gets done. Do you give people guidance for clothes?
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so you come to me and you say, I am launching this brand. I need visuals for it. What do we do? And the first thing that we do is we get on a consult and I talk to this person for an hour. And I say, who are you? How did you get to this point? What sets you apart? Do you have a style guide existing already? If you don't, why don't we talk about what that might look like? Really get into the heart of why they're doing this, what they need out of it, and what the next version of themselves looks like. Because what a branding shoot does, every single shot that you get out of a branding shoot should open a door for you and should show you and your clients the next version of yourself and your business, where you're going. And all of those need to be strategized. And so I will give advice on wardrobe, or I will bring in a stylist who will literally bring in all of the wardrobe and dress you based on the personality, based on what the next version of you looks like. And I think of myself as a people person with a camera, not so much as a photographer.
I agree with that. Yep, I agree with that.
And I do have the technical skills, but a lot of my job is meeting people where they're at, identifying where they could go, and then reflecting that back to them. And really showing them the next version of themselves so that they can step into that. And that is what I consider my job to be.
Yeah, and I feel like this is where experience comes in, because you can show future clients what your past clients did. This is this company that we worked with to get them to this next level.
Yes.
So when you see this is where the level I want to take you to. And do you feel, I feel like, when they come into you for the first time, they have absolutely no idea what they're doing.
A lot of people don't.
A lot of people just have no idea. It's like, oh, I think I just need a headshot.
Which, why should they? Nobody's taught, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not their world.
Yeah.
This is your world. Their world is out there. Now, if you went to them and started talking to them about their business, you and I would be like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Threads and thread counts with your mattress. I have no idea what that is, and fabrics and curtains and stuff like that.
Right.
And they come in here and talk to us, and they would have no idea what shutter speed and f-stops and ISOs were either.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm talking to a branding professional, is because I feel like this is where we should leave it with the professionals. Yeah. If there's a company that is on the fence with, they feel like they're stuck or they feel like they've plateaued and they want to take their business to the next level, branding is that one thing that will separate you from where you were to where you want to be.
Yes.
But a branding session done right. So a styling guide. So if they don't have any idea how to dress or anything else like that, the stylist that comes along with the packages that you do, they have the styling guide. So they have all of that stuff, so they know what colors to bring in and what colors to stay away from.
Yes.
Do they also know, as far as, do you find out ahead of time what their preferences are? Because I know some people are very adamant about being photographed from the right side and not the left side. I even ask my brides when I start doing it, do you prefer this side or this side?
Yes.
And I look at the guy, sorry, you're not important right now. It's like, and once that bride picks that side, she's on that side for the rest of the day, for the rest of the night, and the groom's on the other side. Same thing with branding sessions also. Some people don't feel comfortable with sitting. How do you approach that? Do you have that long conversation with somebody is like, that is, let's say they're the owner of the company, they know they need to be the face of the company, but they don't want to be the face of the company.
So many people.
I know. What would Mariah do? What would Mariah do?
I would tell them that they are hiring a professional for a reason, and they are investing in expertise so that they do not have to worry about that. They are investing in a professional so that they don't have to pose themselves. They don't have to think too much about wardrobe. They don't have to overthink their styling. They're going to be taken care of. All they have to do is tell me who they are, where they want to be, and we'll get them there visually. Yeah.
And again, I cannot emphasize enough, this is where expertise comes in, and this is where experience comes in, because you do this in a beautiful studio like this for these clients to be comfortable where they are.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of it is just working with them in person and letting them know that this is not real life. Nobody sits like this in a chair, but it looks good, right?
But it looks good.
Yeah. And making sure that they know that you are the one that's paying attention to details. You're the one moving their hair over and paying attention to how their jacket is sitting. And if we have a styling team, they're watching that too, so that they don't have to focus on that. They can just focus on being themselves for the camera. And I always tell people, a lot of people are like, oh, I have to suck it in, or oh, I have to do this with my shoulders, or I don't like the way that I smile in a certain way. And I tell them, if you're thinking too much about your face.
Thank you. That was my next place. That's the next thing I was going to say. Go ahead.
If you're thinking too much about it, you actually activate the tiny muscles in your face that you don't usually use. And so you're not going to look like yourself. And so it's my job to take them out of that and just make them not think about it at all, so that they can settle into actually being photographed as who they are.
Yeah. And I feel like if they showed up and did everything over the phone with you and never met you in person, and they showed up and like, okay, this is what I want to do, they may be lost because they've never had that connection. We talked about connection in the beginning. I feel like them connecting with their client is important, but I feel like them connecting with you, because there has to be a trust there.
Completely.
There has to be a trust there. How do you reassure them that I know you feel like your smile is, you don't like it and you think it's ugly, but it really isn't. In their own heads, it's something that's in their own heads. And how do you get people out of their own heads?
I talk about it. I think I am very lucky in the fact that I've been doing this for 19 years. I've been in the Boston industry for a long time. I work with some high-profile women. I get a lot of word-of-mouth referrals, and everybody trusts me implicitly from the get-go. And so they say, like, if Mariah says it, you know, that's what we can trust, which I am very lucky that I don't have to do the extra work to earn trust at this point. But I do talk them through that on a Zoom consult and just say, like, listen, I've seen this over and over and over again. It is completely normal, and this is how we're going to handle it.
And that's reassuring. When you say, this is completely normal, that you feel this way. Everybody that I talk to is not comfortable behind the camera. You're not.
Yeah.
You haven't been photographed like this.
The next generation is insanely comfortable behind the camera because they're taking pictures of each other all the time. But we were yelled at.
Yeah.
Like when we had to stand there and our parents had a certain amount of clicks on their little Kodak cameras and they were like, you smile or else, right? So that was our experience being photographed. That's what people are coming in with, you know? Yeah. So there's definitely a generational thing too.
And I want to talk about that for a quick second because I feel like I'm not going to put an age of older and younger as an age in the middle part of that. But I feel like the older generation, whatever that cutoff is year-wise, age-wise, the older generation, I feel like they're starting to realize that the importance of not just website presence and what your website looks like, but I feel like they're also seeing the importance of social media. And they're actually dreading that part of it where they're going to divert it off to some. You and I had this conversation before we even hit record.
Yep.
It is a daunting.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming sometimes because what is your Instagram?
Mariah Gale Creative.
When they go to your social media, they're going to see what you do as a branding person, but they're also going to see the personality behind. But see, I feel like that's what you and I need to do because when our clients go there, they'll be like, oh, wow, they're really just normal people. And they laugh and they joke and they play just like us.
Yeah.
Because the more we make them comfortable, the better they're going to be able to feel behind that camera.
Yeah.
Now, when you did our family session, we went to the beach. It was really weird for me to have no control. And I went to you. And I said, I don't want to see nothing. Don't tell me what none of yours. I'm not going to question your settings. I'm not going to question the background. All I said was, you photographed me, even though you knew that I did what I did. I wasn't going to question anything. I didn't want to see settings. I didn't want to see nothing. In my mind, I'm also like, gee, I wonder if, because that's my mind was thinking that. But when I got my images back, it wasn't about what was behind me. It wasn't about the settings. It was the moments between my wife and I. It was the moments with my boys. That's the importance of that. So sometimes we got to get out of our own head as a mom and dad and say, because here's the thing, I'm noticing, from wherever that cutoff is, I'm noticing that older generation is starting to notice the importance of brandings, headshots, consistency of headshots. I've done, gone to people's websites when they look to me for headshots, and one person had a selfie, one person had a gray background, one person had a white background, and the background of the website was white, and then another person put a purple background behind them. So that's inconsistency with the brand, and that's pretty much to the level of what I understand from that. You want to see consistency when your client goes there, but I'm noticing that from that lower part of that age that I'm talking about, these people are a lot more comfortable behind the camera. They're a lot more comfortable being photographed. They're a lot more energetic when it comes to that. So I'm noticing that gap between these two right here, that your job is to still make them comfortable, older, younger, doesn't matter what that age is.
Right. Yep. And a lot of it is just letting people know that it is weird. It is bizarre. Nobody does this every day.
Exactly. Exactly.
It just is.
You got that big lens sitting in front of your face and you're like, okay, where do I look? It's like, you just look at the lens.
This is not what humans evolved to do.
Right. But when it's done right, I want you to describe, do you show any of the images to the clients when they're sitting in the chair, leaning up against the wall or anything like that? Or do you wait to the end?
If it's a really good shot and they're very nervous, I will show them and be like, look, see? Like, look at this. And they're like, oh my gosh, really? That's me? Like, and that, that lets them roll into the rest of it.
Exactly. So when they sit down and they go through all of the images and they kind of start whittling down about what they want to use, what they don't like and things like that, how is their experience when they look at that screen and you just answered it to me, oh my God, that's me.
And it's like I said, my job is to show them the next version of themselves. And so they're blown away by the fact that they can now be that person, and they can be the person that can step in front of cameras and be visible.
I've noticed if the first time the client comes to you and they do a branding session with you, and then 3 years go by, they've added 5 more people to their staff, and they come back again, do you feel like they're so much more comfortable and casual with you because they've already done it once with you, so they already know the rest of it?
Completely.
Yeah.
They trust me.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason why I still offer mini branding sessions. It's for those people who aren't ready to take the leap into that full investment because they don't feel like they can, or they don't feel like they can step into that next version of themselves, or they don't feel like they're worthy. And then they come for that small little thing, and then they trust you, you know, and then they know that they're not going to, you know, it's not terrible.
And what it does, I feel like that's so smart of you to do that business savvy wise, because if you can do a mini branding session with them, they get comfortable with you, and then they were like, you know what, it's going to be worth the investment.
Yes.
Who are they going to come back to? They're going to come back to the same person that they already worked with once.
Yeah, and if they don't, that's okay, but at least they're comfortable and they know what they want to bring forward, you know? And that's what I want to do for people.
And I did not know actually I did see that on one of your social medias that you do a mini branding session.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that now?
Sure. I'll do petite branding sessions that are 15 minutes long, and it just gets people in here and it lets them refresh their content. It lets them get content for a new launch that they're coming up with so that they have marketing imagery, or it lets them like pre-launch a brand basically, or start investing in a personal brand that they, you know, that they want to build behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So
or what if they just wanted to use that images for their social media to kind of spruce up what they've had done before?
Sure. Yeah.
So it can be used for anything. Yeah. Is there any styling guides in the midst of that? Or do you just say, hey, show up with whatever you want? Or is there a little bit of guidance in there? Not quite like a full-blown branding, but is there anything like, hey, stay away from leopard print?
Well, if leopard print is your thing and that's your brand, you go for it.
Only if it's your brand, Mariah. I do not feel like leopard print should be like, unless it really is your brand.
You know what? Full support.
Yes, only if that's your support.
Yeah.
But I've seen some people show up with some really, this is my favorite shirt, and it's Elmo on the front.
Sure.
Do you give any advice saying, give me an idea of what you're going to be showing up with, because we're going to be using white walls or we're going to be using my couch? Do you give them any advice when it comes to that? Like a little bit of advice at all?
I tell people that we're using neutral backdrops and they can bring clothing that is in their brand palette.
And it's a 15-minute session.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tell them to bring more clothing than they need so that I can help them pick things and style it, right? So just in case something doesn't work, we can just pull another thing off the rack. And then I tell them to layer on anything that identifies them, anything that they want to tell a story about. So like if it's a favorite book that changed their life, bring the book so you can hold it and tell a story about that on social media. That's a whole social media post. Anything that is, if you have desk, like pens and things like that, desk decor that is in your branding colors, bring that, because then we can style with it really quickly.
Yeah. So even in a mini session like that, you can still do something that is brand related, because I feel like you're still being intentional. This is not like, hey, 15 minutes, I'm going to take pictures of whatever you want. It's like, let's be specific with it, saying we're photographing on this, so be careful what you wear, but make it you. You know,
make it thoughtful.
Make it thoughtful. Meaning, put some thought behind it. Yeah, and I feel like that's sometimes where people, because if they're already thinking about that, they're already conscious of branding. So if they're already considering you for that, they're already conscious of the brand or brand style or how they want to be portrayed. And some people just like, I feel like branding sessions and cell phones should be two separate things. I feel like if somebody is going to do a branding session and take the time to do a branding session because you want to stand out and be separate and be connected with your clients, I don't feel like the cell phones pictures can convey what you and I can do with the mirrorless cameras.
It's true, and people can tell when it is a cell phone versus a professional camera. I think there is a big place for DIY content, and I think everybody should be doing DIY content.
Great.
And I don't think you should filter it to the point where it looks like it's not from a phone, because that signals to people like, oh, this is real. This is your
great
real life,
point. There's a place for it.
There's a place for it. There's
not
also
in branding.
a place for the professional branding photos.
Not in the
branding.
branding.
Tone for your brand.
Yeah. And if somebody is an investor, a phone in their hand during their branding session is that makes sense with somebody doing that, whether it's behind a desk or with a phone, that makes sense. A realtor also, with their cell phone in the middle of a mini branding session. It
Sure.
also makes sense because that is literally who you are and what you do.
It's what story are you telling?
Yeah.
Are you telling people that you are available all the time for them?
Yeah.
Hold your cell phone, you
Yeah.
know, so that they know that they can call you.
Yeah.
Are you trying to communicate that you want to get into speaking and you are a speaker? Hold a microphone.
Great point.
That's it. You know,
Great point.
You're telling a story.
Yeah. And you asked these people ahead of time to give me a little bit about yourself so you can help them with that.
I have a workbook that I have people
Yeah.
complete, and it talks about what the next year looks like, what your launches are going to look like, what your marketing. It goes through everything that you could possibly consider to put a shot list together of things that you need so that it can be functional.
And that makes sense. Like I said, I feel like there's a place for it. If somebody's really serious about a branding session, cell phones are not, the thing to do that's going to set you apart. There's a place for that, for the DIY and the social media and the behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to be presentable to your clients and be in front of your clients for that connection. Somebody wanting to buy a house from you and you're, that's your headshot as, you with a selfie in front of a yacht.
Right. If you look like you are investing in your own brand, clients will know that you're going to invest in them.
Good point. Good point. Give me 3 no-nos, like absolutely no, for a branding session.
First one is doing what other people have done, obviously, because that does not set you apart.
Great point.
It doesn't help
Great
anybody.
point. Hey, this is what the last person did.
Right. And a lot of people, when they're starting their business, they just pick a logo that seems like it would look like it should be in the industry, or they take the photos that feel like it will make them fit into the industry. And that's totally fine. That's a fine way to start. But as you get more successful and you want to set yourself apart and you want to say, this is me, this is my business, you need to do something that is completely different from the other people that are in your industry.
Great advice.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Yep. And it does you a disservice too, because you're letting other people run your brand instead of making it from the inside out. It's coming from the outside in, and that's not sustainable.
Almost like an outside influence. Well, my competitors are doing this.
Right, which you do need to know. There's a place for knowing, but you need to know where you fit into it and what sets you apart.
Have you ever had a client come to you and say, this is what the last person did, I don't want to do this again?
Yes.
But, okay, my other half of that question is, but you're looking at the images and they're not bad. Somebody else professionally did them for them, but it didn't represent the person the way that it wanted to. You've had people come to you with that and saying, yeah, this is what they did last time and I don't want to do this again. I feel like that's helpful when they tell me
what they don't like.
What they don't like.
Right.
I had somebody say, we want to redo our engagement session because we didn't like the way the photographer did it the first time. So I would say, well, if you don't mind, can I see what they did so I know what not to do?
Yeah.
That's my back of my thought, but I'm telling them what did they not do.
Yeah.
And what it was the poses were good because engagement pictures are a lot of connection, hands together, piggyback, arm in arm, little things. So there's a lot of poses that are the same.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of photographers will do the same poses. So I'm like, okay, was it the poses or was it not? And what it was it was the quality of the images they received back. They were soft, meaning not sharp, meaning half blurry kind of thing. So that's what she didn't like about them.
Got it.
But I was kind of curious to see if anybody's ever come to you and said, hey, this is what they did last time. I don't want to do that again.
I have a lot of people that come to me saying, I didn't invest in a photographer in the first place. I was not happy with it. And now I'm ready to invest and do it right the first time.
I feel like some people kind of do that on purpose. I'm going to try this first so I don't have to spend so much money.
Right.
And then realize, ooh, well, they're okay.
Right. They regret it.
When they come to you, they ain't walking away with this is okay.
Right.
They're going to be like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And they're like, I wasted that $500 the first time with that other person. I should have just went straight to this.
And that is a learning experience.
It is a learning
experience. There's a place for that too. And it teaches you that you should invest in.
What advice would you give a company, a business, a brand, anything? What advice would you give them if they're on the fence with doing it in an inexpensive way or doing it with as an investment mentality? Does that make sense?
As an
because
ROI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great point right there. What advice would you give somebody that is on the fence with X and X? What advice would you give them?
Good images make you more money. They just do.
I'm going to have to quote that.
They do. There's an insane ROI. I work with a lot of women who will do a new photo shoot in front of every single launch. And if they're putting out stale content that people have already seen, they don't make the sales that they want to.
Wow.
Yeah.
That right there is the definition. My next question was going to be, that right there I feel like is the true definition of what branding is.
It is power. There's a lot of ROI.
There's power in that. There is power in presentation. Somebody sitting like this is different than somebody sitting like this. There's a presentation, not in a haughty way, but is in a confident way. And I feel like that's what a branding session does. It not only is going to give you great images to make more money, but I feel like it gives you the confidence to stand and be the face of your company.
Oh yeah.
Be the face of your company.
You are the expert. You are a leader.
Yeah.
You're not just using stock imagery.
Yeah.
You are actually leading your industry. You are innovating. You are investing in yourself. You are investing in your clients.
Yeah.
You're moving forward. You have a kinetic brand. Nothing is stale. Nothing is staying the same.
Yeah. And I feel like that is what separates the businesses that are either thriving or not thriving, and or want to thrive, but they don't want to take that initiative for the ROI on the investment. And this is what's going to happen. They're going to stay right here.
Yep.
They're going to stay right here until.
Good visuals push you to the next level. They
Absolutely.
instantly show people that you are at the next level.
Absolutely. It just, do you do any revamping of websites or anything like that? Do you look at website and say, hey guys, I'm going to put some great images and they're going to look good on that website?
Yes, I do. I'm also a graphic and web designer as well. And I have been for 15 years, I suppose. So I take a lot of those principles and bake them into these photo shoots, knowing what you need for your website. But yeah, if the visuals don't match the tone or the style or the professionalism of the website, then it needs to be revamped. Great point.
And I feel like that's another great advice. It's not just about the pictures. It's about, will it fit in what you presently have for a website kind of thing.
So when you go to a website, it's like you're stepping into a room. And if the entire room is black and white and you see a purple chair in the middle of it, that's what you're going to notice. And so if you go to a website and the whole thing is clunky design and the pictures are beautiful, you're not going to have an immersive experience where you're getting to know the brand. You're just going to notice the differences.
Yeah. And you'll notice the inconsistency, which is what I mentioned before. You'll notice that these images, wow, look at that, president of that company sitting on the corner of that desk. That's like confidence. He's the leader in the industry. Yeah. And then the rest of the website kind of doesn't look like it matches that.
Right. Like they haven't invested in the entire package.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I feel like I've heard this word quite a few times as the word investment. And the other word I heard, or three letters I heard, which we don't talk about enough, is the ROI.
Yep.
The ROI, I feel like, should be the end result of your investment.
Yes.
Don't look at the investment. Look at what the return on your investment is going to be. And I feel, does that make sense? I feel like they're so focused on this because this is what comes out of my pocket. I get that.
Yep.
But ROI is what goes back into your pocket.
There's an ROI for the actual money that you get back, but there's also a giant ROI for personal development.
Yes.
And how it pushes you as a person forward, and how it frees you to do the things that you actually want to do, and how it just obliterates imposter syndrome, because you're like, no, that's me. I can go out and do these things. It makes you money, and it makes you more human and more you on so many different levels. You know, a branding shoot, Rob.
My mind is blown away because of it is not something that I knew very much about, which is why I do the podcast, because I want to know. I wish I had the thirst for knowledge in high school that I have now. It's like completely different. I'm thirsty for information and knowledge, and I want to learn my craft and get better at my craft and find out, what trends are, and not necessarily ride the trends, but sometimes you got to include those trends with what you're doing, or else you're not relevant.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about being relevant. First, as a business, and then I'm going to talk about relative in the social media.
Okay.
So, relative. Talk to me about being relative in a business.
All about visibility. If you're not in people's streams, and if you're not just in people's faces, they forget about it, because you have like 1 second to make an impression. And if you're not continually showing up because they're continually scrolling, then you're going to be replaced by somebody else. And that's just how it is. Yeah. And so it just
like it or not.
Like it or not.
Like it or not.
You have to be consistent. And, for people who have built a brand over decades, people are going to remember my name. But if I disappeared from the internet, people would eventually forget about me.
Yeah.
they would.
Yeah.
Which, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I think it's important to show up as a person, as a human, and then show up as your brand, show your expertise, and also show your personality and show the person behind the brand in order to stay relevant as a human and as a company.
All right. Being relevant on social media. And I feel like there's a disconnect between some businesses because they want nothing to do with social media. Like it or not, there's a connection between the two. It's almost like the bridge that connects the two of them. Yeah. Let's talk about being relevant on social media.
I mean, my strategy is whatever makes me laugh, I recreate it. I don't have a social media strategy. I just go on there and I use it to show my genuine self. There's trending audio, there's trends that sometimes I participate in, but the baseline is consistency. Yeah. It's just showing up.
Yeah. It's almost just like just hitting record.
Yeah, just do it.
But everybody's so worried about what they look like and what they sound like, they won't do it.
They won't. I would say to them, which I need to say to myself more, your audience will grow with you. And the people who connect with you are going to stay with you. But you have to put yourself out there so that they know who they can connect.
My mind is blown. So I want to wrap this up with what else can we do? Let's talk about branding. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as branding? We already nailed the importance of it. We already nailed the definition of it. We already did that part of it. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as branding is concerned?
I would say, you hit on the fact that a headshot is not a branding session. A headshot shows people what you look like and what expertise they should expect from you. So if you're a doctor, you're sitting there in your white coat and you have your glasses and you're sitting up straight and you look confident, that is telling them baseline a limited story about you, but it does not tell a story about the brand or who you are as a person or what your day-to-day looks like, what it feels like to work with you. And that is the biggest thing about a branding session to me is, what does it feel like to work with you, right? And how can people expect to be treated by you? And do they already feel like a friend to you?
Yeah. So. And with images from you, it tells a story about them.
Yes.
Now, there's a trend right now, and I want your honest opinion.
Okay.
AI headshots to represent you on either social media as a realtor and or on a website for your business.
Sure.
AI generated, and you know what I'm saying with that.
Yep.
I'm talking about like there's not a pimple on the face, there's not a completely, plastic Barbie smooth skin. Yeah. I want you to talk about that.
I think as long as people can tell that it's AI, it's useless. Because they know that you're not showing up as your real self. AI will get to the point where people can't tell. And then, whatever, do it. If it represents your personality and if it tells a story, do it. That's what AI is going for. But now it can tell. So it dilutes your brand.
Thank you. That's where I was asking you to go with this, because I feel like the people that don't want to invest, they're doing something like this instead.
That is the signal to everybody that you're not going to invest.
And I feel like as a realtor, as a doctor, as a business owner, and I'm not talking about the one that looks like an AI that looks like a cartoon, where you can tell intentionally somebody's being funny with whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And there's a place for that. Laugh, joke, play, there's a place for that. But when somebody goes to your website and it's an AI generated picture and they're like, hey, I'm looking to buy this house and this is the red flag for me.
Yeah.
And no matter what you're buying, and you show up at that cabinet store and it's a AI generated image and it doesn't quite look like it's AI, but you know that it's not them.
Yeah.
And then you show up and the guy walks out from behind the counter and he's got a beard on with glasses and he's nowhere near that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a misrepresentation of your business, and I feel like I would be a little reluctant to purchase something from somebody that doesn't look like how they're being represented on their website. Now, there's a gray area in here. That's just my opinion.
As a placeholder, sure. If you know that you're getting a shoot done, if you feel more comfortable with that on your website, if it's going to help you step into making more sales, do it, But it does say to people that you're not willing to put your real self into your brand.
Yeah. Dilute is the word that you said. So I've heard at the end of everything that I do, I always like to reflect back And because I don't have a desk, I didn't write anything down, but it was personality. It was connection. It was all those different things. And then you just mentioned, dilute. I do feel like anything that is not going to make you look better and look like a professional, it actually dilutes your presence in the place you're trying to step into by doing that. So creative and personality.
Designers can tell when a brand is tight, when they have a style guide, when they adhere to that, when they don't deviate from that. And you can tell when somebody doesn't. Tight brands look like they have invested in themselves.
And what makes somebody see a tight brand? What does that reflect to the consumer? I'm looking at this tight brand. I'm looking at this. Wow, they've got everything together. What is the person that's looking at it going to feel when they say a brand that is put together well and put together right?
This brand has value.
It
values itself.
Value.
It values me, and I will derive value from it.
Love that. Anything else you want to talk about? Because I feel like there was so much there. I'm going to go back and listen to this again.
I feel like you asked me the 3 things you shouldn't do. I only gave you 1. I got.
And that was excellent too. I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But is there? And it doesn't have to be 3. I just picked a number. Is there anything like for branding you would say you definitely don't want to do that?
I think it will dilute the experience if you don't listen to the professionals and at least consider what they have to say. Like with wardrobe, with hair and makeup, a lot of times if somebody's not used to having professional hair and makeup done, they'll look at it and be like, oh my gosh, that's way too much. But that you have to put more makeup on to be photographed in the same way that you would look at yourself in real life. You need more makeup for a photo
Happens
shoot,
on wedding days too. There's always just a little bit more makeup on than usual.
And you want them to look natural, but you do need a little bit more makeup to make them look natural and polished, like a polished version.
Like a polished version of you.
And so the people that don't trust that end up being disappointed with the final product, or more likely to. So it's not considering the opinions of the professionals.
Good. That's good advice. Anything else you want to talk about branding?
I don't think so.
All right.
We covered a lot.
I think we did. What is the address of this?
This is 371 Main Street in Sturbridge.
Sturbridge, okay.
And this is called the Creative Haven.
This is called the Creative Haven.
It's rentable by other photographers, videographers, productions.
Interesting. Was that intentional?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you guys don't use it enough, or you wanted to sublet it to give other people opportunity?
Give people an opportunity, and there isn't anything like this in this area of
No,
Massachusetts.
there's not. There's not.
There's
not. And that's what I like about it. And for me, like I said, first thing I noticed was this is very clean in here. This is very airy in here. This is very nice in here. And I watched a couple of your behind the scenes of a stylized shoot that you did, and you showed the before and after pictures and the behind the scenes and stuff like that. There is an element in here that you have lots of creative haven to be able to do all of your stuff with this, because this is absolutely beautiful. The fireplace behind us, the bed that's over there, the whole changing station over there, dressing room, hair and makeup is over there. Lots of stuff happening over here. So anything else?
It's no. I mean, this is the most comfy place that I've ever photographed.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome here. Do you see yourself staying here for a long time?
I think so. Hopefully. Old Sturbridge Village is the one that owns the building. Those are our landlords. And that's why it is so historic and well preserved. So they're the ones that we got to talk to. But
Good for you. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Wow, that was so educational for me, because not understanding, I have a little bit of a glimpse of what I thought branding was, but when Mariah talked about the depth of branding is so much deeper than just a surface headshot. There's so much more to that. It's the colors, it's the fonts, it's the clothing, it's the style and the styling guide. It's all of this stuff that, what story do you want to tell? That's what branding is in a definition of it. That's what branding is. Telling a story with images and what you look like inside of them. And she gave good advice as far as people who don't like to be the face, but yet they need to be the face of the company because they're the face of the company. It's always beneficial. So thank you guys for coming back to the channel. I want to thank Mariah for opening up her absolutely beautiful studio over here in Sturbridge. And all the information is going to be down below to follow her on Instagram, and her address is going to be down here. Branding sessions, they do a bunch of stuff inside of here. So reach out to her if there's anything you guys can do to help your branding business get to the next level. She does offer mini branding sessions also. So anything else like that. So thank you guys for coming back to the channel. Remember to smile more because it sure does hurt less. Peace.
Thank you.
That was excellent.
Good.